Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope everybody's having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. Today, we have a lot to really kind of talk about and discuss. Specifically, we are going to be addressing what the Omfif, the Official Monetary and Financial Institutions Forum, has been really kind of putting together for us. And things are getting interesting, to say the least. Now, first and foremost, we do see here, we are pleased to announce that Ripple will be partnering with the feature of Payments Report 2023. This is very interesting because of the players that are tied to the Omfif, which we will go in depth on. But I want you guys to understand what's actually happening right now. As we see Ripple growing in numbers, we see Ripple continuing to expand rapidly. We also see them being mentioned by a lot of these major entities. And this is definitely one that you probably want to pay attention to at this current moment in time, considering the names behind it. Now, with that in mind, let's dive on in. So when we tap into the future of payments 2023, there's only one speaker right now, which I do think that this is going to change very soon. But this is from the Director National Payment Systems, Bank of Tanzania. Now, for those that don't know about Tanzania, do you guys remember who was tapped in with Tanzania back in 2022? For an example, this edition of the report follows the successful publication of Future of Payments 2022, which featured partners including AWS, Binance, Bit, Flutterwave. Flutterwave's the big one here, Payoneer, RTGS.Global, Swift, and Visa. Now, we're going to read more into this, but I want to take a step back real quick to March of 2022. Ripple partner Flutterwave becomes a payment service provider for SMEs in Tanzania. This is definitely interesting because, again, they are tapping in to RippleNet for cross-border payment settlements, which is, again, like this is on-demand liquidity, essentially. We're excited to be bringing our products to great businesses and individuals in Tanzania after the Bank of Tanzania approved our license as a payment service provider. Again, this was a big one. We actually commented on this. We made a video regarding this as well. And Flutterwave has been tapped in with RippleNet since 2018. And they've already processed over 140 million transactions worth more than $9 billion from clients such as Uber, Booking.com, Facebook, and even Flywire. So again, this is a big one to mention. And I think that this is exactly why we are seeing Tanzania here, and we're also probably going to be seeing, Flutterwave get brought up in question, but also why we are seeing Ripple being a major partner of this report. Which, again, we're going to be talking about all of the major names behind the Omfif here in a second. But first, I want to read over this. So, achieving the targets set in the latest phase of the G20 cross-border payments program will require collaboration and engagement between the public and the private sector. One thing that I've been heavily focused on is collaboration between the public and private sector. This is also why you see Ripple working with the BIS, working with the World Bank, the IMF, you name it. In this year's Future of Payments report, we examine the diverse approaches being adopted by industry players and uncover the geopolitical factors driving their choices. To celebrate the launch of the 2023 report, we will convene an expert panel to discuss the priorities, opportunities, and challenges faced by central banks in the global payments industry as they work to achieve a more efficient cross-border payments ecosystem. The panel will explore key questions around regional payment solutions and the potential for fragmentation, the role of cryptocurrencies and stablecoins and cross-border payments, the economic importance of remittance innovation, and the implications of central bank digital currencies and DLT for stakeholders looking to deploy next-generation options. And again, Ripple is a partner of this. This is very significant. This is December 13th. Pay attention to this date because this is when this event will be held. There's probably going to be a lot of great information released from that. Now, let's look into a few things because back in May, I put out this tweet. It barely got any attention. If we look here, the Omfif has been a think tank organization I've been keeping a close eye out on because, one, all of the players tied to this have over $43 trillion worth of investable assets, which is massive. We know Ripple just expanded big into crypto custody and have been focused on tokenization with the XRP ledger. I expect this amount of money to trickle into this space over time, probably nothing. And here we have dialogue on world finance and economic policy, and we can actually see that they do have investors with investable assets worth $43 trillion that are at the heart of this network, which is pretty crazy to think about. But also, when you look into who they are, so this is where that screenshot is from. If we look here, right, the OMFIF is an independent think tank for central banking, economic policy, and public investment, providing a neutral platform for public and private sector engagement worldwide. With teams in London and the US, the OMFIF focuses on global policy and investment themes related to central banks, sovereign funds, pension funds, regulators, and treasuries. Global public investors with investable assets worth $43 trillion are at the heart of this network. And a lot of these major meetings take place within central banks and other official institutions. This is a crucial organization to keep a close eye out on. And we even do see where public and private sectors meet to shape the future of finance and economies. Reputation for integrity, objectivity, and independence. And look at these names that are tied to the IMFIF. So one, we have President Deutsche Bundesbank, the Bank of England, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the ambassador to the UK. We also see the Banco Central do Brazil, and then also the Bank of Canada. These are all crucial players, but this is just the tip of the iceberg, which we will go in depth on a lot more players right now. So let's look into it. The Advisors Network. These are the advisory councils. So right off the bat, we get met with a few names here. So one, the first one, there's not too much there, but after that, we get a little bit of a glimpse into why the OMFIF is a must look into organization. These are the major players behind this. On the right side, you do see that this is an individual that previously worked for the HSBC in New York, but now he is also a member of the BNY Mellon's executive committee and serves on its European and UK bank boards. He oversees the regional management teams across the EMEA, Asia Pacific, and Latin America. If we also scroll down, we could see that there's a few other players from major central banking organizations, like for an example, Ernst & Young, who also previously held senior positions at KPMG. On the right side, you also have senior positions at Deutsche Bank, Dresdner Bank, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce these last two major banking names because I will completely butcher them, but he's also the global head of senior executive banking at DZ Bank. Also, some other members here. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. JP Morgan Chase Bank in China, previously at ABN AMRO, and also even HSBC. All of these individuals come from substantial central banking and major banking backgrounds, and they are all advisors at the OMFIF. This is why this organization is reshaping the entire landscape for the financial system. Although it is a think tank organization, they also have a hand to play in this new world of finance that is being created. We have people from Citi here. We also have an individual that is the author of the Chinese delegation at the 1944 Bretton Woods Conference. Like, these are people that make the big changes. And again, Ripple being a partner, Ripple being a major player here, and even Ripple players like, for example, Flutterwave also being a key player is very significant. And the list just goes on and on here. You have individuals from the Financial Stability Board, the IMF, the World Bank. These are all major organizations that are playing a role in the evolution of finance. And look at how substantial this list is. And again, like down here, this is where you start to see a little bit more of some bigger players as well. Like, this is where you start to see even major or other major banking giants as well. Like, you have DZ Bank here, DBS Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and so many more. So this is why these organizations are so crucial to mention and note. But also outside of this, the OMFIF have had major PDF files talking about central banks, talking about digital currencies, and talking about the revolution that's happening. For an example, there is a PDF file, Central Banks and Digital Currencies, a Revolution in Money. This is from the OMFIF and the Digital Monetary Institute. Within this, we had a few things regarding the next phase of cryptocurrencies. They talked about Bitcoin, speculative mania, or safe haven. From retail to institutional investors assessing risk and opportunities, legal and regulatory approaches to crypto assets, role in a post-pandemic macroeconomic environment. And do you see the people that were tied to this? We had the head of financial technology task force at the European Commission. We had the global crypto leader at PwC. We had an individual from Bittrex Global. And then we also had Monica Long, general manager, Ripple X, and also Gemini here. Monica Long is a crucial player within this. But also, there's a few things within a PDF file talking about the shift towards even tokenization. The question of momentum and timeline is important. Large financial institutions tend to be conservative in their approach to DLT. Before delving headfirst into new endeavors, banks want to make sure that the technology is right and that they can secure full regulatory approval. So right now, the only thing hinging on mass adoption from the institutional side of things is regulatory approval. That's the only obstacle here, because we already know that they've been testing and utilizing DLT. Also, over here, check this out. This is correspondent relationships. It talks a little bit more about regulatory environments. Also, by the way, over here, I totally forgot to mention, look on the left side there, full-scale blockchain adoption among global investment banks could reduce reconciliation and other infrastructure costs by 30%. So again, like this is why we will start to see full-scale adoption of blockchain technology. We haven't seen that just yet. Full transparency, we barely scratched the tip of the iceberg in terms of adoption. Also, over here, regulatory engagement. So this is where things will really kind of start to change. Will determine which innovations become predominant and their pace of adoption. As one bank notes, getting the regulators on board with regards to DLT should be priority number one, which is why we are starting to see a lot of movement on the regulatory side of things. This is the last major stepping stone. Also over here, again, here we start to see a few things mentioned. So we do see governance platform, Quorum. We also see private Ethereum being mentioned, but then also we have tokenization availability and characteristics. Exchanges controlled by Ripple. We also even see XRP, public traded over exchanges controlled by Ripple. Decentralized Ripple network as well under governance platform. Also over here, Spotlight, Ripple. Rather than compete with large banking companies, Ripple plans to partner with leading financial institutions and provide them with a blockchain solution. They're providing them the infrastructure layer here. Instead of converting dollars into other currencies, which entails exchange rate cost, processing fees, and slow transaction times, one bank can transfer, for example, $5 million worth of XRP to another bank's Ripple portfolio, which can then be converted into local currency. Ripple is seeking to position itself as an alternative to SWIFT. Its software controls the relevant bank funds and updates each party's accounting books. The settlement process is completed in seconds. By consolidating liquidity to service international payments from many disjointed international nostril accounts into one XRP pool, respondent banks allocate less total liquidity to service the same volume of global payments. The bank only has to hold its domestic currency and maintain one account with XRP, with only enough XRP to service its largest expected payment obligation. The process minimizes the number of intermediaries and their markup on spreads. And remember, this is from the OMFIF talking about how banks will hold not only its domestic currency, but also an account with XRP. Imagine, like, majority of banks holding XRP, or even talking about other currencies as well within this space. Like, this gets me very excited about the future, especially when we do talk about banks holding XRP, which, by the way, has always been the holy grail. But what's very interesting about this is also a lot of the players from Ripple. For example, Mary C. Hall, the CBDC product marketing at Ripple, even talked about this on May 10th of this year. Happening now at the OMFIF Digital Monetary Institute. Don't miss the 4 p.m. panel, Next Steps for Cross-Border Payments, CBDCs, Instant Payments, and Upgrading Existing Infrastructure, featuring James Wallace, VP of Central Bank Engagements at Ripple. Upgrading the existing infrastructure. This is what I mean about Ripple becoming that infrastructure layer. They are so crucial to this new evolution that is happening. And again, XRP is mentioned multiple times. I understand how easy it is to get caught up in the short term. When we're talking about XRP, imagine being able to invest into Amazon, for an example, right? You're investing into Amazon stock before Jeff Bezos even had the garage. He didn't even have the garage yet. You're still tapping into Amazon. That's where we are at right now. This is why I'm very excited about the future. But also, this is the same James Wallace that recently said back in February of this year, CBDCs will play an important role in transforming global payments and improving financial access. Check this out.
XRP Ledger is, world-leading public blockchain, which was built for payments and issuing currencies. So it's a natural fit for CBDCs. We've taken that and basically providing a private version of that for the central banks. Something that's going to be absolutely critical for the success of CBDCs and the adoption of them is the relationship between the public sector and the private sector. As I mentioned earlier, we view that the public sector, the central banks working with the government will be the designers, the rule setters in terms of policy, and the implementers of the platform for the core capabilities around wholesale and retail CBDC, but that the use cases will come from the private sector. The list just goes on and on and on. There's literally endless potential use cases.
So there you guys have it. And again, we already know from my video just yesterday, right? 15% of central banks are already engaged with Ripple. I'm telling you guys right now, you need to pay attention to what Ripple is doing and what Ripple is becoming. They are the infrastructure layer, the new infrastructure layer for the global monetary system. That's why they have been tapped in with the BIS, the IMF, the World Bank. They are working with all these major players. And also now with Ripple and XRP being so close to having 100% regulatory clarity. Because again, remember, XRP is already cleared for at least another 2 years plus. Ripple is on the last step. They're on the last step. All they need to do is get institutional sales completely cleared. And guess what? Ripple is the only company within crypto that has full-on clarity. XRP is the only crypto, I don't care about Bitcoin, with 100% clarity. Remember, Bitcoin on paper technically got cleared, but XRP through the courts, is the only digital asset with 100% legal clarity for at least the next 2 years. That is so damn crucial when we are looking at these documents and they are literally telling us about the regulatory engagements, the regulatory environment as well, and how this is the last step towards the momentum brewing and adoption happening. I'm very excited for the future here. So with that being said, if you guys do want to go take advantage of the DCENT Wallet sale right now, you have about roughly 3 days left to go and take advantage of this 40% off sale. Guys, you cannot afford to miss out on this opportunity right now. One DCENT wallet, you can save $50 on. 2 wallets, you could save $128 off right now utilizing my link down in the description below as well as in the comments below. If you guys do want to go check it out, you guys are more than welcome to. Again, 40% off right now for the next 2 days and roughly 20 some hours. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Peace out.